Lucky Boys Podcast.
Well, do you think that keeping it real and authentic is what's going to sell? Versus, hey, if I do something more mainstream, more commercial, that will perhaps appeal to a larger audience, therefore bringing more opportunities my way.
I mean, you could look at it that way, but well, I honestly think we need to keep it, especially for the Chinese Americans. We need to keep it real because lately I don't really see us doing too well, portraying our characters accurately. You know, yeah.
Here's what I hear from a lot of different artists. They initially go into it like you, eyes wide. Oh, I would never take a role. I will walk out, write the audition. If they tell me to speak like this and I don't think the character like that, they would get upset, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. After a few years of no's, no, or not even hearing a no, you just don't get a call back when you after your audition. They're going, can I please have this role? I will talk like this. I will make YouTube channel and talk like this. I do anything you. That's what I see. I've been in this arena for quite a while, and people that I've worked with in the beginning were very gun ho about that, and eventually go, man, just give me whatever. And when I have a talk with them, I'm like, hey, why would you? Remember you said that. I understand people change. He goes, man, honestly, Will, I got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm willing to sell out until I get noticed. And then when I have the power, then I'll make a shift. So you're having to negotiate with yourself. Or maybe that's what he's saying to himself to justify it. But that's what, we hear from a lot of artists, Norm and I.
Yeah.
That we work with. And when we talk to them about it, it's just kind of like, shit, man, that's tough.
Yeah. And well, I think we said this before. I'm gonna tell it again. Ty said it. If you have to do an accent, but if it serves the character authentically, then do it. If it doesn't, it's a gimmick because that's what Hollywood standard is to like how they see us. Then yeah, you can say no.
But that's what sells.
It sells, but I think it's 2022. I think
and in 2022 that still sells. Look at who do you have on a podcast? Stephen He.
Yeah.
Emotional damage. That guy.
Yeah, he's in our film too.
Yeah, so great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy,
Awesome
right?
guy.
And he told us
Talented.
a lot of people have a problem with him doing the Asian accent because of that. They think that he's selling out. He's setting Asians back several generations. But I'm neither here or there. I'm just looking at it for what it is.
Yeah.
And that shit sells. It's hotcakes.
And I get it because, like you were saying, he was struggling during the pandemic. I saw he was not getting the roles he wanted. He was this not known actor from Ireland originally.
Yes.
So he was just having fun, killing time during the pandemic to do these TikTok videos. And I think he's hustled.
That was all by design, by the way. Start in TikTok. He told us on the podcast.
Yeah. But I'm not saying but Steven will do it. But I think if you're up to that level, it's your responsibility, like how you got to pay it forward. If you're going to sell out to pay the bills and play the stereotype, then what can you contribute to your own community? Like how can you flip it and pay it forward? Like I learned that from Ty and Henry and stuff like that.
Do people think he sold out though? In my circles, I don't have anyone telling me that they feel like he sold out.
I don't think he sold out. We kind of know him. So I think he had to do what he had to do to survive.
But how do you guys feel about someone getting big off of the Asian accent?
Well, I don't like it. It's just feeding into the stereotype. It feeds into all the anti-Asian hate. When you ridicule somebody's language and, in light of the idea that they're trying to speak your language to survive in this country, and you make a mockery out of it. So I don't like that. I think there's, I can't tell anybody how to make a living, but it's like what Patrick says. How are you going to pay it forward? What are you doing other than doing these roles and continuing the stereotype?
Now, Henry, I get what you're saying, because I know where you come from, and I
Old
know
school.
a lot of people feel that way. You're definitely not the minority in that. But does intent matter? Like, what if you intended just to make people laugh? You weren't intending to hurt anyone's feelings or to make a mockery. You just wanted to make people laugh, and perhaps in your own household, you thought you found the humor in certain in the way people speak. Because I know, for example, a couple of my Filipino friends, even my wife, right? They'll like talk like with the Filipino accent with the parents, and they have a great way about making it funny,
Yeah.
non-offensive.
Yeah.
But it's just, well, the parents might find it offensive, but they do imitations of the parents, and it's hilarious, you know.
like
'cause-
like what Joy Coy does.
who?
The comedian Joy
Oh,
Coy.
Joe Coy, yeah,
Joe Coy,
exactly. And
Yeah.
you know,
Or Russell
my
Peters.
wife is Filipino, and her sister go to town on the Filipino accent, and I find it funny. You know, I don't look down on Filipino people, but when they do it, I kind of saw them do it as it was almost like a term of endearment,
Yeah.
right? Because they're doing it of the parents. So I'm wondering, does intent matter? Because when you're doing the Chinese accent, what if you're intending just to make people laugh because you find something funny about one of your relatives that they did and the way they said it, and then when you look at the American culture and the kind of like they don't intend to be funny, but they're unintentionally kind of hysterical. Do you find that offensive still?
Well, if you put it in that context, the person is really just trying to make a personal joke among his friends. I think that's okay. It goes back to how black people can speak in their own language and say the things they say, but only black people can say that, right? And there's other people, their ethnicities, they can make those jokes, they can put on that accent. And as long as you know that it's comedy and they're making a little inside joke, that's okay. But if you're presenting it as a mass media stereotype that, just fosters hate and ridicule, then I'm against that.
Like, did you see any of Stephen He's clips?
I think I have.
Okay.
I have.
Do you find that offensive, that type of style?
Well, he's coming off as a comedian, so it's not like if he's doing that in a dramatic role and the director tells him to do that because I want this kind of effect, then you have to gauge it that way.
Got it.
An example in mind is Yan can cook. Today we're going to make it the fish. We're going to cut the fish. We're going to chop, 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 chop. And we're going to now cut the scallion. You know how to cut the scallion? We're going to do it just like that. And this going to be delicious. He doesn't speak like that.
Wait, that wasn't his
Wait,
real
that's not his real
accent?
accent?
Not. He speaks English like you and I.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Get the fuck out of here.
Well, he's from Boston, right? He's I don't.
See, I told you, that shit sells like hotcakes, man.
Yep.
It sells.
It seemed to.
I mean,
he did that accent to look
to
more
make-
authentic.
I know,
guess.
Yeah.
bro, there's entertainers, well, I would say like models, because Asian women are so like sexualized that they would, even though they have American first names, they would say, hey, use a Chinese. Yeah. So, for example, if your name is like Rebecca,
Yeah.
right? They're like, no, I want you to use like Zhang Li or some,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a Zhang Li, but, like, I don't want to use
Something
her real
ethnic
name.
sounding.
Yeah, I want you to be more Chinese.
Yeah.
So they'll use a more Chinese name. And then, but in the acting world for women or men, Asians, or maybe if another race, but I know, who is that actress? She was in that TV series.
The Shield?
She's half
Chloe Bennett?
Chloe Bennett, right? Her father is Asian
Her real
or
name's Chloe
Chinese,
Chen.
right?
Her real name is Chloe Chen.
They told her to use Bennett so that she could have a broader appeal.
I get it. It's like Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen came out.
But why is that? Why in the like the model world they'll say, hey, be more ethnic, and then in the Hollywood world they'll say be less ethnic?
I think it's because in model you're selling internationally. It tells you like, oh, they're from that origin, but with Hollywood, it's America. It's different. Like get more roles that way. But like it's like Martin Sheen, he's actually Hispanic, and he came out recently with an article like he wished he didn't change his name to Sheen, but he had
What's
to.
his last name? Estevez or something
Yeah,
like that?
Emilio
right.
Estevez and Charlie Sheen. So their real last name is Estevez. Yeah. It's also paper too. Well, like they look at the last names, like, oh, they're Hispanic, they're Chinese, maybe not. You know, it doesn't matter how
Doesn't
talented
fit
they
the
are.
role that they're looking for, even though they might have the look.
Mm.
They just skipped over the name and they looked at the name first, and then like, okay, I tossed that.
Well, that's
right?
back then,
Yeah.
Norm. I don't know about now. Now you can
Yeah.
just look at Instagram and TikTok, and it's like,
Right.
oh yeah, they do fit, or they don't even care about the name. Like 2 million followers, you know, and stuff.
That's true. And that's what I think that was the brilliance of Stephen He.
Yeah,
He leveraged that.
He
following,
knew that, you know what, this is probably not going to work out unless I build my audience first.
I'll tell you this, Steven, he got in the role because he reached out. You know, he said, normally I'll say no to people. Like, I'm trying to do it normal, like traditional cast people do internet or word of mouth. But Steven reached out, was like, hey, listen, a friend recommend this project, my actor. I'm like, oh, not one of these guys, again, like just trying to get their way in. So I just said, hey, you know what, just send me a reel, let me take a look, or, you know, have you studied whatsoever. So I look at their resume. I was like, all right, he took some theater acting, Shakespeare, did a couple of short films. Like, why not? It's not gonna be a big role, but come on board. And he did. He was very professional.
He's a great guy, by the way.
He did.
Awesome.
He's a fucking great guy, yeah.
very humble.
And for
Yeah.
those who have, if you can't see it, he did double dip in the film. Like he had to play two roles because we were shorthanded with cast. So he played with Norman, a gangster, and then we changed Alpha. And he's getting arrested as a kid or something. But you
Typical
can't lose him.
Asian filmmaker. Recycling the cast.
Well, you can't see
saw
him. You
him.
can't see him. You can't see him. That which is good. Like I told Steve, like just try to move your face away from the camera, so people can't tell. Like
yeah, you
we're-
hit my face too much. I didn't recognize myself.
You?
Yeah. No, but thank you.
I did 5 rows.
What? What?
No, three, maybe three.
Lucky Boys Podcast.